Okay, tonight's Hoshana Rabbah, so to discuss what needs to be done tonight, tomorrow, going into the last 2 days of Yom Tov. Okay, Hoshana Rabbah is called Hoshana Rabbah because Rabbah means great, a lot, and Hoshana is a lot of Hoshanas. In other words, during the week we go around once. But the Hoshana Rabbah, like they did in the Bais Din, it would go around 7 times. So tomorrow, instead of doing one Hoshana halachos, we actually do 7 times, plus the additional parts. Now, in many circles, Hoshana Rabbah in the morning is a very big davening. They'll wear a kittel, and they'll daven like when they do Shabbos until Baruch She'amar. They'll say all that stuff we say on Shabbos, and it will be a whole thing. In our circles, we daven regular the morning Shachris, like Chol HaMoed. That's it. We're through Hallel, that's it. Except we do 7 times Hoshanas. And of course, it's Kriyas HaTorah. But tonight, there's a minhag in many places, they step a whole night. Sfardim have a minhag, they step a whole night, they have a whole tikkun of Hoshana Rabbah. In Chabad, the custom is we officially stay up a whole night, but tonight we say privately the whole Chumash Dvarim, and Hoshana explains why Chumash Dvarim. Besides it's a repetition of the whole Torah, it talks about a lot of Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem in the Parshias of Chumash Dvarim. So that we do privately, and then at Chatzeis Laila we say the whole Tillim with the minyan. So tonight here we're going to start, Chatzeis is like a little bit before 1:45, so we're going to start 12:45 Tillim. Says you say the whole Tillim, you're not maidach in it, you make it, move as quickly as you can, say the words obviously. And then there's a minhag also that I've spoke about many times. There used to be a minhag that between the Svarim of Tillim, there's 5 books of Tillim, the Gabbai would give out apples with honey. So we do it at the end of Tillim here. After Tillim, we go into the sukkah, somebody brings apples and honey, and we just dip the apple in honey, make a bracha by pirates, and so on. Okay, so that's as far as tonight is concerned. So we say the whole book of Dvarim, and then at 12:45 we say Tillim. Tomorrow is, again, like we said, it's regular, as far as we're concerned, regular Chol HaMoed davening, through Torah, through Hallel. Now before Hallel, we take off the top 2 rings of the lulav. We learned in the past that we have 5 rings on the lulav. 3 that hold Adas and Aravis to the lulav, and then there's 2 rings actually on the lulav itself. So before Hallel, you take off the 2 rings from the lulav. Then you say whole Hallel, and then you have Hoshanas. Now, normally during the week, we take out 1 Sefer Torah during Hoshanas. The meaning of Hoshana Rabbah is you take out all the Sefer Torahs. So what happens if you have, everybody has a lulav, so who holds the Sefer Torah? If there's nobody to hold them, you lay them down on the shulchan or on the table, and you leave the Aron Kodesh open during the whole Hoshanas, and you go around 7 times, and then the whole thing, and then afterwards you have a bunch of pages of Hoshanas, and then at the end of the Hoshanas, you take what's called Hoshanas, the 5 Aravis, and you bang it on the ground 5 times, and the reason, then there's a whole Yirotz that you say, that basically the Arava represents Gevura, and you bang it on the floor, it's called Mesikas HaGevuris. Hamtokas HaGevuris, so you sweeten the Gevura. So you bang it, not 10 times, 5 times, there's in the Cheshbon 5, because there's 5 levels of Gevura. So you bang it on the ground 5 times. Now many people have a minhag, they throw it on top of the Aron Kodesh, and in Poskim it says you're not supposed to do that, it's disrespectful to the Aron Kodesh, you're dumping stuff on top of the Aron Kodesh. Now what do you do with those Aravis? Halachically you can throw them out. Some people save them, they burn them with the chametz, with the lulav and Erev Pesach. Whatever, you do the Aravis, what?
What are you supposed to say with the Dvarim? Because you can eat it before Chazot?
Yeah, Dvarim tonight's an exception, even though it's Torah Shebiksav, correct. Even though it's Torah Shebiksav, you say the whole book of Dvarim. But not Tillim. What?
Before Chazot.
Yeah. Because Chatzeis you already say Tehillim. Now, it's also a minig to have a seudah tomorrow, a fleishik meal tomorrow, preferably in the morning or early afternoon. You dip the chal into honey. Many people have a minig, like we said, to eat kreplach, which is the meat covered with the dough, like Erev Yom Kippur. It's a festive thing. That's as far as Hoshana Rabbah goes, as far as the practical aspects of davening. So we don't wear a kittel, even the chazan doesn't wear a kittel, but that's that's what the Hoshana Rabbah. Now in Eretz Yisrael, where they don't have Simchat Torah, so they only have Shmini Atzeres Simchat Torah together, so tomorrow afternoon they would say goodbye to the sukkah. We do it Shmini Atzeres in the afternoon. What we do is you go into the sukkah, you eat something. Many people have a whole yehirotz, and they say when you leave the sukkah, you say basically, in Yiddish it's called gezegnet zech with the sukkah. You're saying goodbye to the sukkah, but we don't say the yehirotz, we just eat something in the sukkah. But in Israel they would eat in the sukkah tomorrow afternoon, say goodbye to the sukkah, and that's it. Now in Eretz Yisrael, Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah is one day, so it's a very... Yeah, we again didn't get there yet. We didn't speak about Shmini Atzeres. But you have a lot of things going on Shmini Atzeres in Simchas Torah, which in Eretz Yisrael is one day. Number one, you have hakafos at night. I mean, we also have hakafos Shmini Atzeres, but the big hakafos Simchas Torah is at night. Simchas Torah morning, like we do Shmini Atzeres, we bench Geshem at Musaf. We start saying Mashav Aruach HaMerid HaGeshem. Now it's interesting, why do we, the Tal we do on the first day of Pesach. Geshem we do on the last day of, after Sukkot, basic Shmini Atzeres. So it says the reason is, even though, by the way, when we bench Geshem, if you notice, we're not asking for rain. We're mentioning Hashem's greatness that He makes rain. But why don't we do it the first day of Sukkot? So the answer is because we don't want rain during Sukkot. We had to eat in the sukkah. Now that Sukkot is over, Shmini Atzeres, now you can ask for rain. But it's interesting, even though on Pesach, when you start saying Merid Atol, you already start saying the same bracha. Here, we don't ask for Saint Talu Motor. In Israel, they do it 7th of Cheshvan, 7th the day of Cheshvan. In Chutz La'aretz, we do it December 4th or 5th, depending on if it's a leap year or not, whatever it is. So what's that cheshbon? So we mention rain, Shmini Atzeres, okay? Because we don't want to even mention rain during Sukkot, it's a problem. But when the Yidden went to Beit, why don't they start saying Talumotin Levracha right away? So the Gemara explains because the Jews all came up to the Beis Hamikdash for Yom Tov. So after Sukkot, they would have to travel home. Most of the more distant people took them 2 weeks to get home. They didn't fly those days. They went either by foot, or they went by horse, whatever it was. It took them 2 weeks to get home. So we don't want to ask for rain while they're traveling back. It's a hazard. It's not a good thing. So therefore, a week from Sukkot, 2 weeks from the last day of Sukkot, is 7th of Cheshvan. So 7th of Cheshvan is when the people in Eretz Yisrael start saying Talumot Livracha. Chutz La'aretz, we'll learn more as we get on later, but Chutz La'aretz is like Bavel. Bavel, they didn't need rain as much as Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, in outside of Eretz Yisrael, the minhag is, when they started needing rain, was 60 days after Tekufas Tishrei, which is, again, the seasons go on the solar calendar. So therefore, we start December 4th or 5th, saying Saint Talumot Livrach. What?
During the time of the Beit Mikdash, when people would go back home, during Chol Moed, would they take apart this to try and build it back again? Or is it just once they build it, it was once to the whole time?
Why would they take it? They weren't home Chol Moed.
They wouldn't travel Chol Moed at all?
No, they were being Yerushalayim the whole week.
Oh.
I mean, somebody asked me rather this week, there were heavy winds and storms coming. He didn't want his sukkah to fly away. So he asked me, he's going to be away for Chol Hamoed. So he wants to know, can he take her down the sukkah? Because there's going to be big winds. He's not going to be home anyway. Can he take down the sukkah? And then after winds, he's going to, during Chol Hamoed, put it back up. Yeah, you can take down the sukkah Chol Hamoed. You can put it up the sukkah Chol Hamoed. But they weren't home. They were in Eretz Yisrael. I mean, they were in the Bais Din, so they didn't, there was no, huh? No, you can take it down. It's not muktzah as far as using, if you can't use it for anything else. But you're allowed to take down the sukkah, you're allowed to put up a sukkah Chol Hamoed. It's not an issue. In fact, there's a whole discussion in halacha that those people that don't eat in the sukkah Shmini Atzeres, they can take down the sukkah already Hoshana Rabbah in the afternoon, which is also middle of Chol Hamoed. But whatever, that's a separate discussion. So in Eretz Yisrael you have like this. They have, in the morning, they have hakafis. So Berchas Kohanim is only by Shachris, because people always make Kiddush, and then if you're going to be drunk, you're not allowed to do Berchas Kohanim. So they would do Berchas like we do. Also, the Berchas Kohanim, Simchat is by Shachris, before you eat, before you get drunk. And then they would have hakafis, and they would have Yisker. Because Shmini Atzeres, we say yesterday they would do Simchat Torah. Be the whole thing of everything combined in one day. Yisker and Simcha, I mean, it was the whole combination would be done in one day of Shmini Atzeres Simchat Torah. But it's interesting, coming back to the Hoshana, the Rebbe, I don't know how many of you heard Living Torah last night, but the Rebbe in Living Torah last night explained a very interesting thing. One of the highlights of Hoshana Rabbah is banging down office on the floor. Now the Gemara says that the Hoshana Rabbah, the Chacham, even when they did it in the time of the witnesses coming, Hoshana Rabbah would never fall out on Shabbos. The Chacham did everything possible that Hoshana Rabbah should not fall out on Shabbos. Why? Because then you wouldn't be able to bang Hoshanas. You wouldn't be able to bang Hoshanas. Which is interesting. It's only a minig. It's not a halacha, it's a minig to bang Hoshanas. Yet, the first day of Sukkot, we have a biblical mitzvah of lulav and esrog is only by Yom Rishon, right? So what happens if it falls on a Shabbos? You don't do lulav and esrog. We don't find that the Chachamim did everything possible to make sure the first day of Sukkot doesn't fall out on Shabbos. Even though it's a biblical mitzvah they're taking away a biblical mitzvah by making it that cup fall out on Shabbos. Only in the Bais Din, and it's a machlekes where only in the place where there's a big Bais Din, like Shefer, but officially only in the Bais Din. So it's interesting that Rabbi said Sapella that Hoshana Rabbah they made should never fall on Shabbos in order to bang the Hoshanas. Even though they didn't care so much about a biblical mitzvah of lulav that they should not be able to fulfill the mitzvah. So the Rebbe explained the Maila of the willow, Ein Beitam ve'Ein Beireach, is the Maila of bittul and humility. And you bang it on the floor, and that's what sweetens the five Gvuros, is dafke with the Hoshana, dafke with the willow. There is no big macher, no Torah learning, no mitzvahs. It's a very simple willow, ein beitam, ein berech, there's no taste or smell, and that is used, and that the Chacham made sure is very important. More important in that respect than lulav, they didn't care if you didn't do lulav, but the Hoshanas, they wanted to make sure that you did. Okay, that's, now as far as going into tomorrow night, so we discussed Shabbos, that there's, Shmini Atzeres is a separate Yom Tiv, and therefore at candle lighting tomorrow night and at Kiddush, we say again the Shechianu. Both nights we say Shechianu. Shmini Atzeres and Simchat Torah. But the previous Rebbe said that the Shechianu and Simchat Torah is also going on the Torah. Not only for the Yom Tiv, the Shechianu going on the Torah. So therefore the previous Rebbe said everybody should make their own Kiddush. Everybody should make their own Shechianu. Not to be Yetzer, from somebody else, because you're not only saying it on the Yom Tov, you're saying it mamash on the Torah, that every single Jew has a part of the Torah, and therefore they should make their own Shechianu. That's basically it. And again, like we mentioned, what?
Is it Shechianu will have to be in the Sukkah?
No, the second night you don't.
Yeah, the first night.
First night, if you're eating in the Sukkah, yeah. Those that don't eat in the Sukkah don't.